Coach, you want to start with an opening statement?
Well, it's been a hell of a 16 days. I told my guys probably 6 games ago that, when we were looking at definitely playing 4 top 5 teams, I don't know if anybody's ever done that in the end of a conference season. And I said, it'll be a memory-making experience if you can do your job. And to win 3 out of 4 of those games with the schedule we had, I just think speaks a lot about the character of our guys. Assistant coaches did a hell of a job. We beat 3 really, really, really good teams and got beat by a really, really, really good team. I think Illinois, Ohio State, Michigan all have a legitimate chance to be a Final Four team. And, to have to do it tonight, and at times we played very well in that game. Not all the time, as you saw. We squandered some things at the end, but for the most part in the second half, we had decent control of the game against, like I said, a very, very good team. We got play out of so many different people. I mean, sure, Rocket had a career game. His mother was here. Joey Hauser played really well. Aaron, after I thought a sluggish 2/3 of the game, came back when it was money time. And poor Josh, I thought he struggled, probably getting in foul trouble. And when he hit that 3, I mean, I was standing right next to him, and I was telling him to shoot it before he caught it, because it just was a play that he was wide open, and he just went straight up, straight down. It was as picture perfect as you could get. And I'm looking right at the ball, right at his head and right at the rim, and it was in the whole way. And I was happy for him. We got some play out of our centers. Marcus Bingham, did a good job. Marty didn't play as much, but I thought Julius did a very good job. Gabe Brown came in and didn't really score much. Got some monster rebounds at the end, and goes 4 for 4 from the line and pressure pack shots. I thought I did a poor job of getting him involved early. And maybe an unsung hero is we talked about playing Jack Horberg to get somebody to move the ball. And, for Jack to play 6.5 minutes, including those couple of minutes at the end of the half where, we needed someone to defend and move the ball. Guys like Jack and Josh that work every day on their game in here, good at kids as you got to have. It just was meant to be. But the 16 days, I bet I never go through anything like that in my career. And I'm proud of my team and happy for our program, happy for our former players, happy for everybody. Happy for me to go home and get some rest tonight, and then see if we can move on and get ready for the Big Ten tournament.
Our first question comes from Larry Lage.
Can you reflect on the performance Rocket had today, and can you share some of what you said to him after the game on the court?
Well, it's been tough for Rocket, trying to figure out the difference between being a point guard and a 2 guard. We did talk about some things that we thought we could exploit that we didn't do as good a job of the other day, and he got downhill pretty good. And, I just told him, I said, man, if you just would, he said, I took a couple bad shots. Yeah, you did, but a couple isn't as bad as whatever. And he did what we asked him to do, and that was get downhill, get to the free throw line, get inside the free throw line. And there were some opportunities to pull up. And that's when he told me, Coach, my mom came for the first time she's seen me in college. And even tough old Rocket, was in tears. And those are the kind of things that make the job worth the job. Because there's a lot of things that don't make the job worth the job, but those are moments. So they had memory-making 2 weeks, and I got a memory-making moment that day to see how much that impacted him. That was pretty cool.
Next, we'll go to Chris Solari.
I know that there's still obviously games ahead next week, but with those 3 wins over top 5 teams here in the past 13 days or whatever it is, do you feel like you guys have done enough right now to say we deserve to be in regardless of what happens down in Indy?
It's funny. I was listening to a show last night, and kind of a guy who has a little bit to say said, I don't think anybody with a losing record in their conference should ever be in the tournament. And I just thought, man, you know, nobody appreciates how good this league is. You know, that's part of the problem. And because where we can say, well, it was like the, you know, ACC, you know, in 04. I don't know how many teams the ACC had in the conference in 04, but it probably wasn't 14, was it? I don't know. I mean, they're good all the time. So, I mean, I'm not picking apart one or the other, but nobody during a pandemic year has ever gone through anything like this. And, you know, I'm not going to worry about what happens to Michigan State. I think there's a bigger picture here, and that's the Big Ten Conference has been, there's not even an argument that it's been the best conference in the country all year. Well, the best conference in the country should get 9, maybe even 10 teams in this year. And so I look at that a little differently. But I'm not on the committee. You know, remember the year we thought we were a 1 seed and we didn't get there. And that was the year we got beat by Middle Tennessee. You know what? I'm not politicking for anything. We did just about everything we could do. And I think that because of our league, because of the other teams in our league, because of how good Michigan is, how good Ohio State is, how good Iowa is, how good Illinois might be as good as everybody. And to think we beat 3 out of the 4 top 5 teams. Yeah, I think, you know, if I had a vote, I'd vote us in.
As a follow to that, going to Indy, do you feel like the way you guys have played maybe in the last 7 games or so that you can play yourself in by getting an automatic bid? I mean, having beaten all those teams, I mean, I would imagine the confidence is as the highest it maybe it's been all year.
You know, I'm going to just reserve the right to say, you know, I'm going to enjoy this game and not look at that. Because we're good enough to lose to some teams that were on the bottom of our schedule too. And I mean, there's a reality to it. You know, the injuries, I still say Josh right now, I'm a little worried about, you know, he doesn't seem to be moving as good as he was the last 2 games. So really got to, you know, try to get him some rest in the last 2 days. But really, I mean, if it's up to me, he's not going to practice and do anything. So that's one of my issues. But hey, we're good enough to beat a lot of teams if we do the things right. Our margin for error is so slim, you know. You can't shoot bad from the free throw line. You know, we shot better. We got to rebound the ball. We did. The biggest thing is, you know, we had 8 turnovers. And when we're under 10, that makes a big difference. We shot it pretty good from the field. We didn't take a zillion threes. We did some things we could learn on, but we're still not running like we were. And I think part of that is our wings aren't running as much because for Josh and Aaron, you know, a little worn down. And, you know, I as I said, the unintended consequences, you know, if you get an injury, you know what your injury is. When you've had COVID, like some of those guys had, there's unintended consequences that could last for months. And I don't know that. So I'm going to go down to Indy feeling good about our team, knowing we had a lot of work to do, and we're good enough to win some games, and we're good enough to get beat in the first game. I don't know who we're going to play yet. I guess it's Maryland or Rutgers. And, you know, both those teams have beaten us. We beat one of them. That's kind of the way the whole year is. So who's playing well? It wasn't like we shot the lights out today. We won it the old-fashioned way. We probably won it defensively. I know it wasn't for that stretch at the end. We had a 10, 11-point lead, missed a couple of front ends of a 1-on-1, or maybe we could have put it away. But Michigan's good. They got a really good team. He's done a great job. And they'll be a force to be reckoned with. And who knows, we might play them again.
Next, we'll go to Kyle Austin.
Tom, I know you told your guys that, you know, streaks are meant to be broken and not to worry about that, but that's obviously a lot of history to kind of be weighing on these guys for the last several weeks. So what does it say about them that they're able to, whether they got in today or not, that they put together a stretch like that with that kind of, you know, in their heads?
I can't think of I said this to my team in the locker room after. I took all the pressure off, but I talked about the white elephant in the room. I told them not to worry about the streaks. They are made to be broken. You know, another streak was I've never had a losing season, you know, and all those things get replayed. And I lay in bed at night and look up and I say, hey, this don't matter. You know, there's other coaches that are better than me that have gone through streaks. But you're damn right it matters. I mean, it matters to me because it matters for Mateen. It matters for what they built. It matters, for Travis and Raymar and Draymond and, all the guys throughout the years, Gary and of course, Denzel and then Cassius and Xavier. I heard from Cash this morning, and it matters. It doesn't mean streaks aren't meant, or they're going to be broken sometime. Life doesn't go on forever. But did it matter? It mattered, and I think that was just one more piece of pressure on them. I tried to take it off them. I'm not stupid. It's like I try to tell them they're not as bad as Twitter says they are. I'm not stupid. I don't follow it. I just know what guys go through nowadays. You put the pandemic in on that and everything else. This team will not hang a banner. They will not hang a championship banner. Who knows what will happen in the Big Ten or NCAA tournament. But if there's never a banner hung or anything done, this team should be appreciated by our fans for what they went through and what they gave us, because they hung in there, man. They hung in there. I told you practices were always pretty good. I told you when I didn't think we were playing good, when we needed better guard play, we needed better center play. I think I was pretty honest with you the whole time. I'm proud of this team because they did what I asked them. And that's, go out and make a memory for yourself. Because 15 years from now, when they talk about the pandemic, they can say, yeah, we fought through it and found a way to get into that tournament, and that's going to be worth a memory-making moment. I promise you that.
Next, we'll go to Audrey Dahlgren.
Hi, Tom. Rocket last year in the regular season finale, he had 19 points in the game against Ohio State. Today, obviously, he has a career day. Did anybody remind him of that? And secondly, just how important was it to see that, you had more, Aaron Henry had more support with him and Hauser?
Yeah, Hauser was big too. I mean, Rocket was big because, he for the most part, he took pretty good shots and things like that. But, it is funny because a coach, an old retired coach, called me yesterday morning and he said, your team just looks like they're at the end of that Michigan game. They were so bummed out. They looked defeated. He says that they forget how good they had to play to win some of those games, whether it be at Duke or, Rutgers at home or Illinois and Ohio State. He says, you should get some of those. So we had a 12-minute video of just all the plays that Hauser made or Rocket made or this guy made and put it to a little TV stuff. And, I'd like to say to that coach that did that for me, thank you, because my video guy did a hell of a job in about 15 hours and got it all done. And, I was impressed by it last night. I don't know if they were, but I was. And I think that had something to do with it. You start losing confidence in yourself, especially this day and age when the social media is killing you. And I thought that brought some confidence in him that this is what I can do. So I didn't bring up last year's game. To be honest with you, I'm trying to push Rocket in a lot of ways. And sometimes, it's good. Sometimes it's not as good. But, I felt there was a calmness to him today. Coming off the bench almost helped him in the first half. He was very good in what he said and what he did. He shot the ball really well in pregame shoot around. And I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for Hauser. He made some big plays, got some big rebounds. I think Bingham doesn't get enough credit, probably from his coach, but gets 8 rebounds, had a couple of blocks or 1 block and a couple of change. We just had a lot of guys that did a lot, and some of them didn't show up in points, but you're right. We got a lot of play, and Rocket was really good, and it did take a little off. Aaron, if I could get Josh and Joey now back consistently, then we turn into a real good team, I think.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Jaina Bartle.
Hi, Tom. I know you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but looking back at that Langford 3 late there in the final minute, how did that feel as a coach watching that go down, especially given the plays leading up to that? He had a foul, he had a turnover, so to kind of make it up with that play.
not to be goofy, but I just kind of looked up at the heavens and said, you know, if there's ever a kid who deserved to have some success, his mom and dad drove all the way from Alabama to see him, it was Josh. I mean, that kid has been the difference in this team, and most of it has been somewhat with his play, but somewhat with his voice. And I swear, I did say shoot it before he caught it. It was just like it was meant to be. I'm not kind of that way all the time, but there's ever a guy that I just said, wow, you know, that's supposed to happen. It was that shot, that kid, for all he's given me and all he's been through.
Next, we'll go to Lindsey Huddleston.
Hey, Tom, great win. To the point of the former coach that reached out to you, I know you're not big on taking praise yourself, but, you know, how do you feel about how you finished this season and considering what you were up against, giving yourself a pat on the back for what your team overcame and what you've done?
You know what, Lindsey, I'll give my assistance. I tell you why. I told you earlier, I didn't think I did a great job because I don't think I handled the COVID situation and understood it enough. And I really mean that. That's not humility. That's, you know, I wasn't getting through to them. I talked to another couple of good coaches that are really good coaches that said they had the same problem. My assistants hung in there. The scouting reports, I think the last 3 weeks have been so detailed and so organized. And all three of those guys, you know, Mike and four of them, DJ, Dane, Doug, they all did a great job. We met, we text, we had film sessions with our guys. That's the one thing I do appreciate. You know, we didn't quit working, and I told you our practices were always pretty good. That's hard to do when you're struggling and when you're tired. But man, what a day, what a night. I just sad that there weren't 15,000 people in there. I hope all of our fans that are out watching and watched on TV, I hope you appreciate the players and the assistant coaches, because they did a lot. You know, I get paid to do this job, not that they don't, but there were a lot of guys, Lindsey, that did a lot of work. My trainer, my God, that guy should be MVP. He's done a hell of a job, him and the strength coach, trying to keep everybody as healthy as we could. You know, I said we were going to bring in a masseuse or something. You know, we couldn't even do that because of COVID, you know. So I wanted to take a quick class and see what I could do for my guys, but I didn't do that. But yeah, you know, I think when you overcome something, everybody deserves some credit. But the players play the game, man. The players play the game, and they're the ones that had to suck it up. And I've been proud of a lot of teams. I've had a lot of great players. I've had a lot of great people. And this team has driven me crazy in a lot of ways, because I think we're all a little crazy right now with everything we've all been through. But when I get a chance to sit down this summer, there's going to be an appreciation for a team that, let's face it, this could be one of my worst records in my career. This could be no banners, you know, no rings, which is a little different here. Could be a lot of those things, and yet I think it'll be one of my prouder moments as a coach. And I would like to say this too, so I'm glad you brought up other people. You know, we went on a mission early, David Thomas, my ops guy, and our people over in 1855, to try to make our arena look as comfy and homey as it could be, you know. And the only thing they didn't get done is I told them to motorize those cutouts so they could swear at the refs, and they didn't do that. And that's the only thing I'm upset about. Other than that, the place looked gorgeous. They did a hell of a job. We tried to remember everybody that's been important in this program, from presidents to ADs. The section that we came up with of all my former players, I look at it every day in practice. I look up there and say, God bless me, man. Look at those guys that I had. And I went up there one night, my wife, and I took pictures of different players and I sent them to different guys. I said, we didn't forget about you. And it meant a lot to me. So all those people over in 1855, the marketing people that did such a great job with those cutouts, and maybe the draping around and the floor, and the janitors did a hell of a job. There's so many people that deserve credit that I appreciate you giving me. I'm on the bottom of that list. There's way more people that did more to keep us functioning this year than me. And, but I appreciate it.
Next, we'll go to Rico Cooney.
Tom, I got a two-parter. First of all, can you just talk
Okay, Hondo.
about how you doing? Talk about Rocket's character in responding to, a little bit of tough love from you. And then my second question will probably be more of a Lindsey Huddleston question. Talk a little bit about your emotion coming off the court after today's win.
Well, the first part with Rock, I mean, for the most part, Rock reminds me of Aaron in a way that, there's a process to this. And the process is when you're struggling shooting, you got to work a little harder. You got to start falling in love with the game instead of just liking it or, and I talked to him about it. I mean, for the most part, we've had a lot of good conversations, I don't think he was happy after that last Michigan game. And I don't think I was happy after the last Michigan game. But, the texting didn't stop. The talking didn't stop. And I think it does show a lot about his character. Like I walked off there and I said, wow, I'm proud of this kid. I didn't know about his mother at that moment. And I just looked at him and I said, hey, you came into the huddle, said, I took a bad shot. And I said, yes, you did. And that was it. I think people learn that all coaches want them to do is understand the situations. And, we didn't even we have not run like we can run. And that is going to make his game even better. And so I was proud of his character. I was proud of him, and I told him when I wasn't. And that is tough love, but it's the right thing to do. My job, I'm a teacher and that's my job. And I've got to, some of the times it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But when a guy responds and when a guy comes off that you think is a little hardcore inside and he's got tears in his eyes because his mom, I said, wow. I gave him a hug and I said, boy, it's just fun to learn the different sides of different people. And I always said about Mateen Cleaves, I got credit for that success. Everybody was going to put up a statue of me after that 4-year period. And I said, boy, you taught Mateen a lot. I said, I didn't teach Mateen half what he taught me. He taught me how to deal with different races. He taught me how to understand people from different places. I mean, that kid taught me more than anybody, to be very blunt and honest, because it was a time and I needed to learn. So coaches learn too. And tonight, it wasn't a lot of fun after the last Michigan game, but at the same time, if you have enough character to come back and play like you did, deep down, you must have known some of that or you wouldn't have done it. And I'm just ecstatic for him. Part two of that question was, what did you ask me?
The emotions that came out from you after.
Yeah, walking off that court and seeing him and, hearing some fans in the stands. I mean, that was incredible. I mean, seeing some parents, seeing my family there, there were people in the stands that I haven't seen. And that meant a lot to me. This place means the world to me. It always has, and it always will. And, I know some our former coaches were there. Some of our football guys were there. We got as many people as we were legally allowed to get in. And I think in general, it felt good to hear people. And then when I saw Rocket with tears in his eyes, it was just, I said, wow, what a difference 3 days makes, And that's the way the world is, Now, as I told him in the locker room, how do we sustain excellence? How do you sustain that? How do you do that? That's what everybody looks for in the world is consistency, and that's the hardest thing to get is consistency. So, we've had a pretty consistent 2-3 weeks here, a little slip up here and there, but a pretty consistent 2-3 weeks. Not always playing great because we're not great, but as we're getting better. And I got to admit, when I walked off that court, I felt a little bit of the weight of the world off my shoulders because I thought we earned the right to be in, whether we are or not. Who knows? I won't look at that tomorrow. Hey, we got to win the first game at the tournament. You know, we got to do this, we got to do that. But we did what we needed to do or supposed to do. And I keep saying, if you look at when we came back, and remember now, we played all 20 games.
Yep.
You know, we played those games a couple days after coming back from COVID, and we got our butts kicked. And those kids hung in there, man. Played those 3 games in 6 days then with Rutgers, Ohio State, and Iowa. And I don't know if anybody gives them credit for it, but they deserve some credit for it. But they really deserve some credit for getting them off the floor and doing what they did. And emotionally, I'm a happy camper. This doesn't happen very often.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, we have one final question. It goes to Brendan Quinn.
From the job you guys did defensively on Wagner to the job you did on Dickinson, can you just go from the last game to today, what you're most happy with in terms of the adjustments to your game plan, your scouting report, whatever it may be?
Well, as dumb as this sounds, Brendan, it was more offensively. I thought we were more in an attack mode offensively. We thought we had to do a better job with trying to exploit their ball screen defense. I thought we went at them. So defensively, I mean, they're really good. They got so many guys that can shoot it, you know. And then if you start extending on those shooters, you got a 7-1 guy in there to deal with. And so I thought we found a happy medium. We got some help. But I mean, hey, you know what? One game you make some shots, one game you miss some shots. I thought we were pretty solid defensively, but I thought we were better offensively. At their place, I thought, you know, we were terrible offensively. And part of that was they were good defensively. So just happy as hell to get a win, guys, and happy as hell to win 3 out of 4 against those caliber of teams. And happy to have the night off and look forward to tomorrow when we can start planning, give the players a day off, which they haven't had in weeks, and then see what we can do for the tournament.
Thanks for your time, Coach.